Hello, everybody, as we trickle in here. I am Tim Noah, and this is Humanity's Team. This is our community gathering. We are graced with the presence of my mother, Karen Noe, today. Would you like to say hello?
Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
It is good to be here. So let's just allow, sometimes people take a minute or two to come into the room. So I'll take this time to crack open the bottle of kombucha. This is the big size. If they had bigger, I'd get the bigger size. I love kombucha.
You remember when you made your own kombucha?
Absolutely. That was the best.
Yes.
The labor of love. See, the secret is you sweeten it with fruit, not the cane sugar. Then it's something special to it. But this hour is really a time for us all to unwind. It's a Friday, and I know we've probably all been home all week anyway. But a ceremonial kickoff into the weekend here. Just a healing hour, a time to share, a time to be honest and reflect with everyone here. So thank you for joining. And I invite us all maybe to get your drink of choice. Mine is a kombucha, or just shoes off and listen in. This is an interactive discussion here, so feel free to put your comments or questions in chat, and we'll do our best to address them and see what's going on. You can also raise your hand. We'll be taking raised hands after about a half hour. So the second half of this program, this is just an hour long gathering. And for the second half, we'll be welcoming people to come on and share your questions or comments through video. So without further ado, our guest is my mother, Karen Noe. She's author of We Consciousness. She has
Everybody.
lots to share with us today. Kombucha. So, kombucha. We have a question in chat. What is kombucha?
Oh, that's yours.
Kombucha is a delicious fizzy beverage. It's a fermented tea, and it's just delicious. Probiotics, healthy. If you can imagine a world where soda is healthy, this is the world, and it's called kombucha. It's delicious. It's great for gut health, and it's the honorary drink of it's the sponsored beverage of tonight. So what we'd like to discuss, my mother and I tonight, Karen, is with all that's going on today in our society and this world. We seem to be in the midst of a crisis. And so what we'd like to bring into the conversation today is both some remedies to ease the current stress, to ease the current fear and pain, and also some solution, also the solution, long-term practice that could help us, that could instill just a peace for us to see through any challenges or any obstacles that may come through. So would you like to chime in a bit, Karen?
Well, the most important thing is we have to remember who we are, that we have God within us, and we are good. You know, we have to tap into who we really are, and that is only love and peace. If we tap into something else, fear, what's wrong in the world, that's going to multiply in our lives because we're vibrational beings. Whatever you're thinking about, you're creating more of in your life. So it's very important. It's easier said than done sometimes, right, Tim? We were talking about that earlier.
Well, I think it's the easiest thing that we can do. The difficult thing is to bring all the problem and difficulty.
This is very easy for you because you practiced it. But when somebody's in the midst of something, this is the many years experience of people who've come to see me. You know, I tell them all of this. And then they say, that's easy for you to say. So when you're in the midst of this, you have to learn to, I'll give you an example. Many years I was going through a difficult time in my life. And in order to receive messages from those who've passed, I have to keep my level of my, higher vibration. So if I was saying, oh, woe is me and how, everything was wrong, I wouldn't be able to receive the messages. And the reason is I have to be on par with the energy of those who passed, which is only pure love and peace, which is what I am too, what you are, what we all are. But what if we're focusing on our problems, we're not recognizing that.
So would you mind explaining what, if for our guests that may not be familiar, what do you mean by messages?
I'm a psychic medium, and I'm able to receive messages from those who passed and the angels as well. I've been doing this many years, and I'm booked for several years ahead of time, and I've written 4 books about the afterlife and so
And so, what if somebody is going through? I understand that the sentiment of it's easier said than done, but what I think is important to note is that the struggle, the pain is difficult. It's difficult. So this is the most difficult thing, is to be stressed and to feel pain and to feel loss, and we have to, I think that's
But this
important
is
to
what
recognize.
I didn't get to the point with the other thing is when I was going through that difficult time, and I would say be positive, easier said than done. So what happened for me, what worked for me is I would go on YouTube and I'd Google, puppies dancing, running around, babies laughing or something. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that's all I post, positive things, puppies. You'll go on Facebook now, Karen Noe author, and you'll see I just posted, the animals, very distinguished animals with eyebrows and mustaches and stuff like that. Why am I doing that? I'm not burying my head in the sand. What I'm doing is raising the consciousness, because when we talk about some things like this, we feel better. So that's what I'm telling you. Fake it until you make it if you have to.
Sure. It sounds like when if under stress or fear or this sort of anxiety, then we're blocking. We're not receptive to the joy, to the communication that's available to us.
Perfectly said. We're not on par with the energy of who we really are. So we're not able to receive those messages. We're tuned to a different station. It's like when you go on the radio and you tune into 1300 AM, but you want 1600 FM. You're not going to get it. So when you want to tune into who you really are, which is only love and peace, especially in the midst of all that's going on right now, try it. I'm telling you it works. And if it doesn't work, go for a walk, pet your cat, pet your dog, do whatever it takes. Go on YouTube and Google whatever makes you happy. Change the subject so you're not focusing on what's wrong. You focus on what's right. You focus on solutions.
Absolutely. So would you mind, and I know that you're very excited to share with us some remedies, some helpful tricks to bring us into this.
Some tricks, well, they're not. They're wonderful. In my book called Your Life After Their Death, I deal with people who've lost their loved ones and they are in grief. They know their loved ones are with them because the messages that come through are very specific, and they know without a doubt that their loved ones are there, but they still miss them. So I talk about different techniques that help us to feel better emotionally. And when we're feeling better emotionally, physically, spiritually, we're raising our vibration and we're more on par with the energy of them, and we'll be able to hear and feel their messages, what they're saying to us. One technique is called tapping. It's called the emotional freedom technique. We have energy points on our body, acupuncture points, that if we tap on those points as you're experiencing the negative emotion, it moves the energy out. It's the craziest thing, and it looks silly. It really does, but it works. It's amazing. People have said that a couple of rounds of tapping did what years of therapy didn't even come close to. Now, it's too long to explain fully here because that would take at least an hour. I teach classes on how to do this, but I can send to those who want. I have my notes from my tapping class. And Garth, maybe I'll send it to you later and maybe we could get it out to people, the notes on how to do the tapping. Or else you could Google, go online and put tapping for anxiety. And you'll see, you're pretty much tapping on acupuncture points. But the key to the tapping is that you have to experience the negative emotion as you're tapping, or else it's not going to work. In other words, when people come to my classes and they're tapping and they're just saying, I am so upset, I cannot take it anymore, and they're not experiencing the emotion, it's not going to work. But if you get out a box of tissues and they really let it out, sometimes they curse, sometimes they cry, and they scream, and they're tapping, it's going to work. So it really does work. That's one technique. Another technique is if you know how to do Reiki, or no, so you can't have somebody do Reiki to you because you can't, we're in seclusion. But we could do distant Reiki. I've been sending distant Reiki to the world. And for those who are Reiki masters, if we could all get out there and send healing to this world, we can all increase the vibration of this beautiful planet that we live on.
Sure. Thank you. So, you know, I think to complement this, it's all of these are excellent to see through a pressing anxiety or fear. And I think also to complement, it's important now that we see, maybe we've all been presented with something that has kind of shaken up our peace of mind and brought us maybe into a state that's uncertain and maybe fearful. And so this is just a calling for us all to carry our own personal devotion, our own practice, because, you know, in the midst of a crisis, you know, for instance, if the house's power goes out, that's not really a good time to call and install a generator. You install a generator so that when the power goes out, it kicks in and you're set. You can ride through the power outage. The same sort of principle with a spiritual practice or devotion. And this takes many different forms for each person because everybody has a different perspective. But whether it's reading, studying a text, or daily meditation, all of these are crucial for us to navigate and really thrive and see through a lot of these troubling times. We're installing a generator when we're in this daily practice, so that we're not troubled when there's a power outage. We're not troubled by a lack of loss of peace. Or
This may be true, but suppose somebody already didn't work on themselves before. There are people who have not, and suppose that's happening to them, and now they're in crisis. So I would tell them to quiet their thoughts, because meditation is extremely important at this time. Praying is talking to God and the angels and source, whatever you want to call God. But meditating is listening. And in any relationship, you need to listen as well as to speak. And I have a lot of clients who've come to me, who've come to my classes, and they say, but Karen, I can't quiet my thoughts. I don't know what to do. You know, you tell me to meditate. Meditation could be going for a walk. We were talking about this before, right, Tim? Reading a sacred text, or simply just closing your eyes, setting the timer for 20 minutes. If your mind wanders, it's okay. It's okay. Your intention is there. You have to be willing to be able to tune in, to tap in to God, to source energy, and say, what do I need to know? And then try to quiet your thoughts. If you can't quiet your thoughts, you focus on your breath. I focus on as the breath is coming in, and I'm just focusing on the air as it's coming in. Sometimes I just focus on doing figure eights, like breathing in and exhaling and making a figure eight like this around the world and sending love. As I'm inhaling the love, I'm sending it out to the world. So, and around the world, like that. And you just do that for a few minutes. You're going to feel amazing, because you're letting go of your ego and you're tapping into all that is. We are all one. We're all one, and you'll feel that. Look at how we're all affected now with this pandemic, right? Something happened on the other side of the world, and we are affected by it now. Now we realize it. We're all going through the same thing. But let's focus on all the love that we really are. Now we are all joined together. We are all one. After you leave the physical body, you'll feel that oneness in an instant. Your body won't be separating you from everyone else. And you'll feel the oneness that I'm talking about. You'll feel your connection with God, with the angels, deceased loved ones, animals, and all of nature. But why do we have to wait until it's too late to feel that connection? Do it now. What do you say? Yeah.
It's a choice. It's a choice to make. to just not identify just with the body, essentially, to identify
Yes,
our spirit, ourself.
exactly.
So,
That's who we really are. We're not this body. That's just the wrapping paper, right?
the surface, indeed. So, what, say, for instance, somebody is grieving for somebody who has passed, who has left the earth.
Hmm.
In your experience, what is the sentiment? What is the person who has transitioned? What do they want for the grieving person?
Of course, the loved one who has passed wants their loved one who is still here on earth to feel better, to know that they're okay. And they often come through and say, they please don't, I'm here for you. They want you to know, they're giving you signs to let you know they're with you. They're coming to you in dreams. If you wake up after the dream, you'll remember it. So ask your loved ones to come to you in a dream and to wake you up after the dream so you remember it. They don't want you to grieve. But if you are grieving, it's okay too. You're not holding them back because they're able to see through your eyes and understand your feelings and your actions completely.
Well, this is a beautiful thing because it's sometimes I think there, of course, losing somebody is a painful thing, but to know that what they want for us is to be happy, and that's not disrespecting in any
Not at
way.
all. There's no. As a matter of fact, they want us to be happy and not mourn and grieve. If this is something I have to say too, in the many years of doing readings and everything that I've learned over the years, um, living loved ones think the worst thing that could possibly happen is for our loved ones to pass over, to leave the physical body. But in reality, this is the most amazing experience for them because they're only in a state of complete peace and love that no one else could feel when you're in the physical body, right? They feel, as I said before, the oneness with everyone and everything. It's the living loved ones, the ones that are here in the physical body, because we miss them. I miss my mom. She passed. I know without a doubt that she's around me. She's been giving me amazing signs all the time. She comes to me in dreams, but I still miss her. And it's okay. It's okay to honor our feelings because they're very real and we don't want to discount them at all. Tim, what were you saying before about watering the roots? I want, if you could share that, that was good.
So a lot of these techniques, it's we can make a list of techniques that help us through a crisis. We can do a list and let's try this one, and if this one doesn't work, and I go to this, and I don't like. And there's this
Mhm.
list. There's this big list of things that we can do to alleviate the crisis. We could think of a dehydrated plant, a plant that has not had too much water, wilting a bit. Now, really, the best treatment for a dehydrated plant is to water the roots, but also mist water on the leaves so that it's just hydrated a much more quickly. This is similar to when we're going through a crisis. When we mist water on the leaves, we're using these techniques that kind of can get us through the moment, get us through this grief that's happening right now, or this anxiety. These rituals or these practices that get us through just this time.
But
This is the
you got
spraying on
to
the.
get through just this time too. Let's
Oh, it's
just say
important.
that. Yeah,
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
'cause it's
It,
important.
it, it hydrates the plants.
Right.
But this can become very cumbersome. We can't sit around the plant all day misting the leaves. It would it takes too much effort after a certain point. So really, the best for a dehydrated plant, you mist the leaves and also water the roots. And watering the roots is this more of a long-term practice. It's this daily. Everyone has a different form of devotion to self, meditation or study or healing. And this is the long-term practice just because we must recognize who we are, who our self is. And this just comes naturally with a daily devotion, a long-term. It's the solution. This solution is the same for everybody. It's a recognition of who we are and just a full commitment to this. And really, what's beautiful with the solution, we have all these we have a whole different range of things to alleviate the current the current stress, the current crisis. And there's really one solution. There's one solution that unites us all because we're all one. There's one problem. It's this problem that it's the thought that we are separate from one another, separate from God, separate from Source. This is the only problem. No matter how it's framed, no matter what sort of problem we have, it's all an offshoot of this one problem, this that we're separate. And so there's one solution. There's one solution to this problem. The solution is to recognize who we are. And the beautiful thing about this is that it doesn't take years of study. It doesn't take living in a cave. It doesn't take endless effort. It takes a little willingness, this little willingness to be shown it, to be shown this truth, to be shown who we are, because we're really, when we allow ourselves to be shown who we are, it comes, but we have to allow it. Spirit won't force it upon us.
It's what we were saying before with the tuning into the right channel, right? So when we remember who we are, God is only love and peace. God is within every one of us, not just the ascended masters, all of us. And I always state this: the only difference between a miracle worker and one who is not is that the miracle worker knows who they are. That's it. So reclaim your power, everyone. Remember who you are. Sorry, I interrupted you.
And who are we? And who are we?
We are amazing. We have God within us, and we could create amazing miracles in our lives.
And these miracles
of love and light.
Being of love and spiritual light.
Yes.
This self that is not bound by anything. So not bound by any form, not bound by any time or history or circumstance. That is not our self. That is a role that our self is playing, but who we are, the self that is playing these roles or experiencing these things, is guaranteed, is here now, is eternal. Right. Is spirit, we could think, or mind, soul. This that doesn't die. There's no beginning, there's no end. Just this recognition, then we can start to see through the things that have clouded this to us. Often, the physical perspective can cloud if we get tied up. We have an identification card, and what is on it? It's our picture, a height. It has nothing to do with who we are. It expires, our idea expires. Right. We don't expire. We don't have an image. We don't have a height. We have no numbers associated with us. Our eternal ID, identification. This is the most important thing. This is the thing to really tune into. Well, it's like, we get back to the radio. All we have to do is just turn
into the right station. Right.
Spirit. Just turn it to spirit. And let's just sit here for a little while. Listen to this beautiful heavenly music play.
When you just wake up in the morning and say, what can I do today to help people? What could I do? How may I serve? As Wayne Dyer would say, how may I serve? What can I do today? Right? And then you trust your guidance, what you can do. And the focus on the positive. Because that's what God is only love and peace. Regardless of what you see is going on in the world, the negativity, there is a lot of love. Because in the midst of all of this, all I see is love. I see devastation too. But I'm focusing, I'm shedding my focus on what is right. Solutions to the problem, right? What we could do to raise the vibration of the planet. When you post on Facebook, positive post, no matter what it is. Again, you may see on my Facebook page, like, why is she posting pictures of dogs right now? The reason, because it makes me feel good. And I know it makes other people feel good too. So I'm not burying my head in the sand. I'm trying to keep our focus on who we really are, which is we're only love and light.
Yes.
We have
And
lots of beautiful questions
we
for
do.
the,
And we'll be, I think we have a raised hand. Just a note, in a few minutes, we'll be pulling some raised hands into the call. So just keep your hand up. We'll get to there. We'll get to some of these chat
but
questions.
I
Linda,
definitely, in the midst of all this, and we were saying, yes, you need to tap into who we really are and to start beforehand, when there is a crisis, then you'll be ready. But for those who are not ready, these techniques really do work. So tapping, I would say to go online and Google tapping or emotional freedom technique. It's amazing, especially put emotional freedom technique for anxiety. Okay,
and we're always ready. Here now is readiness.
that's right.
Willing is a different story. We just have to be willing.
We have to
Because
be
willing,
willing. And then once you're willing, you're turning on the light, you don't want to exist in darkness anymore.
lights on.
It
Yeah.
doesn't feel right, right?
Hats
That's
on the
it.
back.
It's not always, you're always in the light. Sometimes you're brought down, but you remember when you turn on the light, the darkness goes away. And just remember that. Focus
It's
on what you want instead of what you don't want. Focus on solutions instead of the problems. That's how it works. Okay.
there's Wim Hof. I know you had mentioned this name earlier. He
Yeah.
has methods. He tunes into this whole extreme of temp. He bathes in ice baths and runs marathons barefoot in the desert and these sorts of things. And he sees through. He's showing us kind of how to see through the things that are not real. If we've all been cold at a certain point in our life, and all that we wanted in the moment was to not be cold. And then we get into the warmth and we're warm. And then once we're at a certain point, we just don't even think about it.
Right.
If we're just in a room temperature, we're not thinking hot and cold. We're just here. So this is this is one sign if something is real or not. Cold is not really real because it disappears. The feeling of cold disappears once we're brought back to normal. So this is another way of seeing through some of these crises and things that may be going on that we know are being resolved. We know that there's a divine, infinite intelligence that's working everything out.
And if I may add something, I know a lot of people love to pray, and that's wonderful because praying is talking to God and the angels, and meditating is listening. And as I said before, did I say it before? We were talking before. I don't know if I mentioned it here. In any relationship, we need to listen as well as to speak. So now, why did I bring this up?
Well, I think
I got it. Just let me when you pray to God, don't beg God. Don't say, please help me, because you don't believe it's going to happen, like whatever you're begging for. So when you're praying, you say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for perfect peace. Thank you for granting me peace. And know it. And assume the feeling of that happening, that you are peace, because you are anyway. But when you thank God beforehand and you know it, that's the faith that all the great masters talked about, every single one of them. And we can all do that too.
And this prayer, in conversations with God, prayer is called a fervent statement of what is. So it's just making a statement of what is, and there's never a time that we're not talking with God. God is always listening. So we're always speaking with God, and so are we willing to listen? Is the real question. And prayer it kind of clarifies in our own understanding what it is that we seek, or what it is we're asking for.
Right.
Perhaps.
And praying to God, you could just talk to God and just talk to the way, you don't need a specific prayer.
Sure, but we're
to source. You don't have to, some people don't like to use the word God, source, creator, spirit, whatever it is. You talk and spirit listens to us always.
Yes. Let me, Gail asked a question. When one has a question for God, are there any techniques that you find helpful to be able to hear the answer?
Meditation, quiet your thoughts so that you're able to hear God speak to you. You won't necessarily hear a voice saying, hello, I'm there. That may not happen in May, but probably won't, but you'll get these feelings and intuition what to do and what you'll just know. It's a knowingness. But be willing to receive the answers, and you will. And you may, as you're meditating, think you're making it up. When you start to receive messages from those who fast, that's the way what happens. I teach people how to connect with their loved ones, and I teach them that our loved ones speak to us as thoughts because they speak to us telepathically. Such God speaks to us telepathically. So to honor the thoughts that just pop in your head for no reason, and honor them, and you'll say, does this feel good? Usually a yes, when you're asking God for a yes or no answer, the yes feels good, the no feels heavy, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
But to tune more into the energy of God in order to receive God, meditate, empty your thoughts so you could tune into God's energy. You could tune it into many other ways as well, as we were saying before, but that's the easiest.
I think also, well, this is where I believe, Gail, that just the full devotion, A Course in Miracles says we cannot be totally committed sometimes, and this is just a way of saying we're either fully committed to self, to source, or we're not. If we're wavering, if we're flickering back and forth, that's just another way of saying that we're not fully committed. So when in this space of full commitment, which is really only comes with a little willingness to be fully committed, we don't have, it's not an active process of commitment as much as an open willingness to be committed. Willingness comes with a will, so we're willing it into being by giving the willingness. So when in this full commitment, to extend this A Course in Miracles language, ego likes to make things complicated. And ego would say, well, you do this, you do such and such technique, and you have to practice this for 10 years, and then you sit down in a room, and for an hour you do this, and then you'll get the answer. But why would God withhold the answer from us ever? So being in this self space, the shared space of self, ask and it's given right here. Why would there be a delay? Why would there be? And it's maybe not with words, but as you were saying, Karen, just
as thoughts,
just feeling.
as feelings, gut feelings, right? That's
Yes.
how. And the reason why I'm saying meditation is the easiest way to pick up on that energy, because we're letting go of ego, and we're really we're plugging into source energy. And that's when we could hear it best, when we're not focusing on what we have to make for dinner and so forth.
But as you always say, you don't meditate with the intention of getting an answer.
Yes.
You meditate so that later on.
Correct. And also, if you're meditating and you are thinking about what you have to make for dinner, it's okay. It's okay, because it happens to me all the time. I'm meditating. I'm like, oh, I should have done this. But then you go back to trying to quiet your thoughts and, focusing on the breathing and so forth.
Yes, thank you. So thank you for the question, Gail. And we have lots of comments. So thank you, everybody, for typing in chat. Let's get into one more chat. And I've seen people raise their hands and lower them. So I'm not sure if there's a confusion, but if you raise your hand, we'll get to you in a moment. I see.
Okay.
Someone with a raised hand. So Doug asks, how can I become aware of the potential transformations unfolding within me and the world at this time of the pandemic? And I would like to
go first.
I would love to say, Doug, thank you for your courage and honesty and recognizing this. There's great grand transformation occurring right now. It's beautiful. Just this transformation into a butterfly, on the macrocosm and also on the microcosm, we're all called to transform something in our life. And you sense this because you asked a question, and you know what it is. I don't think you have to become aware of what it is. I think if you were to sit and say, what is it that I'm being called to transform? It's obvious. It's obvious. And this trust, this faith, identifying with spirit doesn't make it so much a question of, oh, well, I think I should do this, but maybe I should analyze it. It's a knowingness that this is what we're called to do. and we're all in this together. We're all going through this transformation. So it's a beautiful process. And these, I like how you framed it as the potential transformations unfolding, because this potential is being brought into actual. So everything that we see in the world is a reflection of self, and what we're choosing in self is being experienced in the world. So
If we could all do our part right now and raise the vibration of this beautiful planet right now, because a lot of people are focusing on the negative and they're focusing on death, and there's so many lives, there's so many more people living from after they even get this disease, and being released from the hospitals. More people are not getting the virus and so forth. So we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on death. And of course, we have to focus on death in order to find solutions, but I'm saying we all need to tap into what our gifts are and to love, love, love. Pick up the phone and call your grandmother. Go on Facebook and post a positive, do something positive on Facebook. Just the little things, they really do mean a lot, instead of tapping into what's wrong and just, beating the drum of this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And remember what I said before, whatever we're thinking and feeling, we're creating more of in our lives. And if you understand that, we're all one. So whatever I do, if I'm focusing on the negative, and I'm focusing on the negative, and I keep doing that, that's actually making your life worse, believe it or not. But if I focus on the positive and focus on what is right and tune into the love and the vibration and the puppies and the children laughing and so forth and solutions, I'm not actually raising your vibration too. Again, because we all are one. Whatever we do to ourselves or another affects everyone. So remember that.
thank you. Beautiful. And again, these postings on Facebook and so forth are really just extensions of every thought that we have. Every thought we have there's no such thing as an idle thought. Every thought is creative. So every thought should be aligned with what it is that we wish to see, what it is that we will to see.
So the key is to monitor your inner dialogue. The thoughts are going a mile a minute. So you can't change every single thought in your head, but you could stop right now and just say, how am I feeling right now? If I'm feeling good, chances are I'm thinking good, positive thoughts. Am I feeling badly? Oh, got to change my thoughts right now. Focus on, see the glass half full, and focus on the babies laughing and so forth. That's how you raise your vibration. Monitor your thoughts.
The glass is full even when it's empty. How about this? There's air, but
Mm-hmm.
but also it's not so much like a lot of this chatter that we have is kind of symptoms. All that we're thinking is a symptom, is an extension of a source of
Of
a
what's happening now, unfortunately. Is that what
originating
yeah. Is that what you're saying?
originating thought. I'm not sure what. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm trying to frame this and say this in the best possible way. God is not punishing us. Source is not punishing us. But what's happening is when the majority of people are feeling and thinking in a certain way, we're creating events in the world that correlate to these thoughts. So this tells me this is what the majority of people are thinking and feeling in a negative way. Or it could also mean in a positive way. Most people need to quiet themselves, get in their houses, quiet themselves, meditate, focus on source, focus on, look at the environment. It's more, animals are coming out now, and the sky is finally blue, and the pollution is stopping right now. And that wasn't happening. Nobody was listening. Nobody was listening about climate change. They said it was not, it's not real. But look at this, just two short months, and all the positive things that are happening in the environment. We're home. We're able to think now. We're able to unthink now. We're not around people, but we are around people. Does that make sense? We're not around physically with people, but we still could feel them and still feel their connection with us. We were kind of forced to isolate ourselves so that we could feel who we really are.
It's not, it's not, as last week's guest, Michael Gaeta, says, it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. which puts physicality in perspective. If physicality can't separate us, then what is it really? You know, what power does it have? Not
So
much.
if
Spirit.
we could do this on a grand level, which we did, we can't say it's just happened, because when you understand the concepts of which we speak, there are no coincidences. This all happened for a reason, and we have to say it's a good reason. And so let's bless it and thank God, thank the angels, and say, okay, now what can we do? How may we serve to make the world a better place now? To raise the vibration, to clean up the environment, to send love to our planet. Stop the fighting, increase the love. This will end. All of this pandemics and all of that will end quickly.
Excellent. So let's bring Carol on here. Carol has a raised hand.
Okay.
All right, we're waiting for Carol. And you know, when our thoughts are going, if we have all these thoughts, every thought that we have stems from an originating thought.
Yes.
And so this is the thought of self. This is the importance of identity and who we identify. If we're identifying with spirit and we're connected, we're one. Or if we're separate, we're just a body, we're limited, we have to protect ourselves. This is the originating thought. We can have an originating thought that's a mistake. And so this is where the chatter comes in. But to just cut out the chatter and not address the source of it all is just trimming the leaves of the weeds growing. So Carol, let's see here. Let's see if you could start your video. Can you hear us, Carol? Carol! Hello!
Hey, Carol, are you there?
We're gonna have to bring the next guest on. Okay. Let us. All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Yes.
I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute it.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
I can hear you now.
I just wanted to say I'm totally in alignment with the love, and it's just been a time for me to sit back and detach from all the stressful working things, and I've just really enjoyed this time of withdrawal into our own homes and just feel the love and send the love. And I've been doing a lot of Reiki healing work with distance, and so I just wanted to put that in there, that we are all connected.
Beautiful. Continue to spread the love. Thank you for all you're doing.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Yes, and as Carol shows us, we can be in a room by ourselves and sharing love with the entire world. So
Because you're never alone anyway.
right.
You're not.
Right. So we have a Rosemary that is raising hand. So Rosemary.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. You're on here.
Hello.
Oh, hello. We see you.
You see your fingers. There you go. Hey, Rosemary.
I'm just having a hard time with that. Just got my daughter over here to help me with it.
You did it.
Yeah, well, she helped a lot. I feel like I'm in a bad place. I have 4 family members, close, immediate family members that are out there on the front lines. Sorry. And I go between praying and being like this. And I just feel like I need a little extra something. I feel like I need to do more. I'm not there. I'm not where I should be.
You're doing great. Honor what you're feeling. Don't discount your feeling. You love them. You want them to be safe, right? It's okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You want to feel safe. And I could show you briefly how to do a little tapping. Did you ever do tapping?
No.
Okay. We have to see your whole chest.
Oh,
Is there a way to see your whole chest?
Yeah, let's see if I can do this. That out? No.
Well, okay, watch me. Now what happens is this would take a long time to do, but it's several rounds. I'm going to send you, if you could send in the
And
chat
chat.
room, your email. I'll send you the notes to tapping. But for now, I'm going to show you what to do. Now you have to feel the feelings, what you're feeling. Don't discount them. Feel it. Let it come right to the surface. And you're going to find a sore spot right here. Like right, if it hurts, does it hurt?
Yeah, a little bit. It's yeah.
You take two fingers on both hands.
Okay. Well, this is gonna be hard now because I'm trying to hold my iPad too. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Now when you rub,
Yes.
if it hurts,
Yes.
you're finding the right spot. Now what
Okay.
happens is the acupuncture point is associated with the emotion. Is it crazy? I know it's crazy. But when you tap it, you say, even though I'm feeling helpless, go ahead, say that. Even though I'm feeling helpless,
Even though I'm feeling helpless,
I want to love and accept myself the way I am.
I want to love and accept myself the way
Does it
I am.
hurt?
Yeah, I feel it.
Say, even though,
I mean, it's not terribly
even
painful,
though I
but
feel like there's nothing I can do,
even though I feel like there is nothing I can do,
I continue to love and accept myself the way I am.
I continue to love and accept myself the way I
You say,
am.
why am I saying that? There's a reason, I'll tell you later. And then you just say, even though, and as you're tapping, as you're rubbing this, you're moving the negative energy out, believe it or not. And you're stating this, what we're saying, right? And then I'm going to
Yes.
show you a couple of acupuncture points. Now, the only way this would work is if you bring the emotion up, don't suppress it. So usually if somebody's in my office, I would take a box of tissues out at this point and I'd say, go girl. And you could cry, yell, you don't suppress it. Okay. So you're going to say, I'm really worried. I'm very worried. And you tap,
I'm
you see
very
where
worried.
my eyebrow is? Right there. Okay, good. I'm so upset. I feel helpless.
I'm so upset. I feel so helpless.
I don't know what to do. And you move it over here.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
Don't know what to do.
And then you move it down here. Okay, so there's different acupuncture points. And as you're moving the energy, right? And you move it here. And as you're tapping the points and you're bringing up, I'm going to send you the notes. You're going to tap on the consecutive points. Some of them will be hurt as you're tapping. I want you to go in a room by yourself, lock the door, and say, I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore. I can't deal with this, and mean it and let it out and say, I don't know what to do. And you could cry, you do whatever it is. And as you're tapping, you release all that energy. You're releasing it so that you're free to send only love to your loved ones. And in that state is when you'll be the most helpful to them. And that's why these little techniques, yes, Tim, they may be, just for the moment, but only then will you feel better. And then there's nothing you could do by worrying, right?
No, I know that.
Right. But honor your feelings, because it's important to honor them and don't suppress them and say they're not there, because they're very real. It makes sense to be worried for your loved ones, right? And then you send and say, thank you, God, for taking care of them and knowing it without a doubt. Okay, if I was there right now, I'd give you a big hug. But I'm sending you a virtual hug. I love
Thank
you, and I know you could do this. Okay, if you get my email, I'll send my email right here, and we could connect online. Okay, I'm putting it in the chat room. How's that?
Okay, thank you.
Wait a minute. Okay, boom. There we go.
Actually, I had an invitation to this, so I have your email. I think I
There
should,
you
right?
go. I want to hear how you're doing. Okay, we're gonna do this. You're gonna get through this, and so are they. I promise you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you.
But we love you, Rosemary. Thank you for your courage and sharing with us here. This is beautiful. We get to join in this healing. Very nice. So, and thank you, Mother Karen, for.
I wish I could spend more one-on-one time, but it does take for something like that. It's very traumatic, and it would be consecutive rounds of the tapping, more of what I'm doing. But something like that is not somebody yelled at you in ShopRite. Some people come to me and we do one round of tapping and that's it. That's very deep. So we'd have to keep going with that. But again, the most important to do with that tapping is to experience the emotion as you're doing it. Get that box of tissues out express the feelings, the energy goes to the surface of the acupuncture points, and as you're tapping, it actually moves the energy out. It's crazy. I actually use this myself when my own mom passed, and when I go through sometimes in my life. And sometimes, you know, when people come to see me, they actually, sometimes they curse, they yell, they scream, and I'm like, good, good. You know, whatever you need to do, you let it out and tap.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you. And also, Rosemary, you
She's
cannot be
beautiful.
more.
And
Yeah.
worrying is normal, right?
Yes. So we have a question from Natalia asking, what's the best way to know what are my gifts?
Mm. Want to take that one, Tim? I would say that your gifts are whatever brings you joy, that you could tell right away what your gifts are, right? Sometimes it's just spreading the love that you are. And that's probably the most important gift that you have. Some people are, you know, like to sing and dance, and some are writers, some are build things, but truly the most important gift we all have is the love that we are, and spread that love.
Yes. And from a place of spirit, we're just naturally brought into where we can best, where and how we can best serve, what role we're called into. We don't have to analyze it. We don't have to think about it, or it just happens. We get put in the right place. It's like I don't know, in the movies where somebody's just brought off off the street and put into the set of a film. You know, we're just put in the space, boom, and we're in exactly the right place at the right time.
Well, you know, it does help sometimes when you wake up in the morning and you say something like, how may I serve? And then the universe works in ways to serve you as well. So if you don't know what your gifts are, you say, how may I serve? And then all of a sudden someone will call you up and say, oh, you know, I need an article written. Do you know somebody that writes? And you can say, oh, I write, or something like that. It just, doesn't it fall into place, Tim? I find it all the time. You know, when I put it out there, how may I serve? Then the right people just, that's how Steve Farrell came into my life from Humanities Team. One of my clients was watching one of his events with Neil Donald Walsh, and they mentioned my book. And I said, oh my gosh, I contacted Steve Farrell, and the rest is history. And I was connected with the Humanities Team. You were. That just happens when you're right, you know, at the right place at the right time, and just say, how may I serve? Right?
Yes. Now, this is the power of spirits, because as an ego, as a limited self, how can we possibly map out every possible scenario? If this happens and then this, and what if this happens, then maybe this or this. We can't map. We don't know how many threads are in our shirt, or skin cells are on our face. But spirit knows this. Spirit knows ourself. We as spirit know ourselves. So to trust in spirit, it's not flying blindly. Trusting in body and ego is flying blindly, because we're closing off vision of spirit. Vision of spirit just tells us exactly what we need to know. You know, we're walking this bridge and it's being assembled right under our feet. We're called to take the step at exactly the right moment. Spirit knows all. Spirit knows us fully. So it's just a trust in this. It's just a trust, a recognition.
And a willingness to listen to what source is telling us to do. And again, it doesn't come as a voice, it comes as thoughts, gut feelings, and so forth.
And sometimes a voice. Sometimes somebody says it.
A voice. Right.
Sometimes somebody jumps in front of us and says something that's just undoubtedly inspired by spirit.
Exactly.
So we have a chat from Miranda saying, pretty much saying that the importance of showing compassion and helping others to understand, not so much arguing in a positive manner.
Say that one more time. I was reading the chat and I couldn't hear you. I'm so sorry.
Miranda is just encouraging us all to show compassion and help others understand, and just you know, reminding us that if we're in an argument, then we've missed the point.
Right.
We don't argue to be positive. That's a contradiction.
Yes.
So we don't go on Facebook and saying you must be positive. That's kind of,
No,
it's not being positive.
that's not being,
In a
it's
spiritual sense.
looking right. Exactly. And it's also what we need to do. Well, we don't need to do anything. We don't have to do anything. But what's a very good thing to do is to try to see through each person's eyes where they're coming from. And I always bring this up after we leave the physical body. We go through a life review where we're able to see and feel how we've affected each person in our lives as if we are the other person. Because in reality, we are the other person. We feel that oneness in an instant. But if we could see through each person's eyes right here and now in our lives, every person we come in contact with, why do they do what they do? You may not agree with what they're saying and doing, but try to see through their eyes why they're saying what they're saying.
And to see through our own eyes, what is it about this that's causing me that seems to bring lack of peace to me? How am I choosing to see this person? It's not, we don't even need to stretch and necessarily see through why they're doing it as much as why am I perceiving it in this way? Why is it that when this person scrapes their feet on the ground, I get annoyed,
Right.
Why does this set me off? And because we know the answer, we know it, and we can always change this. We don't need to change anybody else. This is a false belief. It's putting our power outside of ourselves.
And
We
nobody
can always
listens
believe.
if we argue with them. There's nobody listens. They listen when
Yeah.
they feel heard,
Yeah.
right?
It's not communication. Argument is not a communication.
Right.
Debate is not a communication.
Mm-hmm.
Break in communication.
Right.
This is right. No, this is right. And then nothing is said,
Right.
So we have a chat from Kathy, our beloved A Course in Miracles collaborator. So thank you, Kathy. We love you too. Okay, let's get to some hands. Carol, I think we pulled you on already, but so let me go to Gigi. We have an email that's coming on. I assume there's a first name attached with this email. Gigi, hello.
Oh, hi.
Oh, we can hear you. Did you have a question or a comment?
So many. First of all, thank you guys for doing this. But the question that comes to mind, it doesn't have to do with the pandemic or anything. I have a strong belief in, wait, start my video. Let's do that.
There you are.
Can you see me now?
Hey, hi.
Erin, how are you?
You?
Yeah. I have a strong belief in spirit, in love, in peace, love and light, and God, and Jesus. And people in my home, my mother-in-law being one, lost her son. So I've been struggling for 10 months trying to bring my feelings through to her about he's with us. He's here with us every day. Talk to him. When you hear, he'll listen to you. And it's really difficult. And I find a lot of times I find that I'm failing in that.
You're not failing. You're planting seeds. You're planting the seeds so that eventually when she's ready to hear, she's going to be able to. Now she's grieving, so her energy's all the way down here and you're over here. So she can't hear you right now. Continue, and eventually she'll hear you. So you're not failing at all.
And then the second point is just about beliefs in higher powers.
Mm-hmm.
If you have someone in your household that doesn't believe at all, like one of your offspring,
okay.
And I don't know if it's because they're in college and things happen in college. I don't know if that's what it is, but they're the best person on the planet. So to me, it's okay to not believe in that higher power because you being that great of a person is your way of expressing your belief that there is. Does that make sense?
Perfectly said. Absolutely. You don't have to say you believe because God is within your loved ones as well, even though they may not believe, but God's there anyway. And the energy of who they are, the love and the light that they're spreading in the world is so important. Not that they're going on top of the mountain and preaching, right?
Just being kind and
One
making
of the
me
most
smile.
important things we could do,
Right.
right? Absolutely.
Those were just a couple of things. I don't know why it was just in my heart, and I
You,
wanted to.
yeah, no, that's
Thank you.
perfectly said. And keep planting those seeds, though. You
I'm
know, don't force
trying.
it, because
I
when you
don't.
force something, nobody listens. You know, you just kind of say, when you're ready, you know, yeah, did you ever, does your mother-in-law have any signs so far, or dreams?
There's a little mobile outside that he gave her, I think
Okay.
for the Mother's Day before he passed last May, and it lights up at night. So when she goes out at night and it goes off, she says goodnight. So like she
She
talks
knows.
to that, and you know that going off is him talking back, and
Absolutely.
that's her one thing. For me, it's like he's here every day.
Absolutely. But
So, but it's been a challenge.
yeah, it must be hard for you, but keep doing what you're doing. You're not failing at all. Keep it up.
Thank you. I
You're
know you
welcome.
have. Thank you guys so much for doing this.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for
thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you
It's
for coming.
Linda.
Linda. Oh,
Oh, see,
What
there's a
happens when
sign.
you do it, when you work at home?
There's a
The
sign.
UPS guy is coming. I'm so, he's gonna continue. Can you mute me for a second?
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get you. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye now.
You too. You too. And we'll um, we appreciate all this. I hope you don't mind, Mother, if we go a bit over. We have some hands raised. Let's see here.
Okay, you could unmute
Right.
me.
Okay, good. We have. Do you mind if we go a bit over our hour? We're technically over right now.
It's okay with, you know, we should do more of these maybe, because there's a lot of questions.
We should, but we have a Teresa that has a raised hand, so we
Okay.
must get the Teresa. So Teresa, I think I chose Teresa.
All you hear is my dog Duke.
Duke is guarding the house. He's doing
I
his job.
know.
So we'll see if Teresa joins us. But in the meantime, I'd like to just thank everybody for joining us. And just a reminder, next week, next Friday, Steve will be hosting our community gathering, and that's at a different time. It's at 9 Pacific. So be sure to join us. We'll be sending out a message with more details with this. But we appreciate everyone's participation and collaboration. And Mother Karen, we appreciate your gracing us with your presence.
If you just mute me for a second, okay? Just mute me and you talk.
We have you muted. So I think I'll take this as a signal to sign off here.
This might be the time.
Here,
I don't
I'm
know what else to say.
muting you so we won't hear you after this. So thank you, Mother. I'd like to thank behind the scenes Dee Meyer, and what set us up. Garth Catterall, thank you for setting up this room and being the webmaster. And Karen Gordon, thank you for being our communicator. And Mother Karen, thank you for being our special guest. We don't hear you because you're muted. Per your request. Would you like to say something? Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining today. And, you know, you have my email. If you have more questions about the tapping or anything, you just need to vent, you could email me anytime. And, you know, follow me on Facebook, and I post positive thoughts and love, and just spread the love that you are. Remember who you are. That's it. Okay.
Perfectly said. So we'll stay in touch. Thank you everybody for joining us. We'll pick up again. Sorry we didn't get to everyone's hands and questions. There are just too many for this hour. But we appreciate, we love you. Thank you, and God bless.